In today's video, we're going to take a look at what I think may be the very best stove you can have for emergency preparedness. The MSR Whisperlite Universal. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. So this video is going to be focused on the general preparedness part of that little elevator speech. And the folks at MSR were kind enough to send me one of their Whisperlite Universal stoves a while back. Here's the stove. I just got the box here because I like messing up my white balance. But anyway, this is, in my opinion, is potentially the most capable, the best stove you can have for emergency preparedness because it uses such a wide variety of fuels. You can use white gas, you can use kerosene, you can use unleaded gas, and you can also use the isopro canisters, the isobutane canisters. So it just really does give you a lot of options when it comes to fuel. So anyway, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to take you down to the old stump top. We're going to talk about the details of this thing, kind of show you how it works, the way you use the different fuels, and then we're going to boil some water and see how well it works in actual use. We're going to do that right after this word from one of our sponsors. He's got the hair. Sorry, we're just talking about Sportsman's Guide promos, and I started thinking about when exactly I joined Sportsman's Guide as a member, and I think it was before Obama was president. So it's pretty cool to have Sportsman's Guide as a sponsor right now, especially since they are literally a one-stop shop for everything related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. So if you haven't checked out Sportsman's Guide, I encourage you to do so. I think you'll be glad you did. Okay, we're back, so without any more rambling, let's get down to the old stump top and get to doing some of that stove stuff. Okay, here we are at the old stump top. And this is as good a time as any to talk about price. So the stove itself is about 140 bucks everywhere I've found it. And for that 140 bucks, you get the stove, you get the pump, you get the stand for the canister, you get the little bag, you get the windscreen, you get the assorted parts you need to operate this, and you get an instruction manual. And you'll need this at least when you first get the stove. So there's that. So that's 140 bucks. You also, if you're going to use it for white gas or liquid fuel, you're going to need a bottle. And there may be some aftermarket ones, but again, they recommend MSR bottles. This is the 30-ounce bottle. So this is the big one. 20 ounce is a little bit smaller. The price on the 20 ounce is 20 bucks. So the 30 ounce is about 26 bucks, I think. They recommend obviously using MSR fuel, but I think Coleman fuel, anything like that will work just fine. This MSR super fuel is about 13 bucks, and then this 8-ounce canister is about 6 bucks. Anyway, you're going to need to buy at least a bottle separately and probably a canister. You can use this same bottle, by the way, for kerosene or whatever other liquid fuel or unleaded gas. Okay, so that's everything that comes with it. What I thought we'd do now, since I've already got it set up to use the liquid fuel, we'll boil some water with the liquid fuel. Kind of show you how it works with that, because that is honestly the most complicated part. And then we'll come back and show you the little bag of parts and pieces, and we'll show you how to change the jets and change it over to the canister fuel, and you can see the difference. And then we'll come back and wrap this up. Let's talk about how the stove works first of all. So we'll start with the liquid fuel because I've already got the liquid fuel end on it. The first step is going to be take that lid off. Put your lid back in the bag so you'll know where it is. Insert your pump, put it in like so. Kind of bend it to the side. It's got this little, I guess that's a vent. Anyway, and then tighten it up. Just make sure your valve is closed. First thing you want to do before you pressurize the bottle is check it for leaks. Now, pump it about 20 to 30 times. 3, 4, 5, 6. And basically it says pump it until firm resistance is felt. The fuller the bottle is, the less you'll have to pump it because there's less room for air in there. So we got that. Next step is, right now, you can see this end here. This is the end. You see the little plunger on there? It's designed to go in this pump in the hole right there, like so. Turn it to where the catch is up, and then push it straight in, like so. And then this little catch here goes into that little groove right there, and it just locks it in place. Now your stove's ready to go. And I left this little instructions on here, and I think I'll take it off now. Let me see if I can get you a close-up here so you can see what's going on. The next step to lighting the stove is open the valve just a little bit, and you're going to let a little gas down in here to the cup. See it running down into there? It's got a wick down there. So now, close the valve again. You want to light the fuel in the cup. And it says in the instructions, a soccer-sized ball of flame is not abnormal. So there we go. We're going to light that. Just want to allow it to heat up. So this is a preheat stage. We want to wait for it to preheat for about 2 minutes. So once this flame kind of dies down, then we can go ahead and open the control valve. Nope, maybe not yet. It's not, maybe not quite hot enough. Let it die down a little more. Okay, once it dies down, if it doesn't take very much on the control over here to really get it cranked up. So what I thought we'd do is we're going to try to boil some water, see how long it takes to boil a cup of water here. Okay, so we got about 20 ounces of water here in the old Pathfinder cup. Now this thing barely fits on here, to be honest with you, so you got to really kind of balance it on there, but there it is. And we'll go ahead and start the timer here. We'll just see how long it takes it to get it boiling. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes and 14 seconds, and it is, by golly, boiling. So you can see the rolling boil there. Hopefully you can see that, but it definitely just started to boil. It's rolling now. Can you see it rolling in there? Okay, there we go. Let's turn it off. Let's set this off to the side now. You can see it's still burning. That's the other thing about this, is you're going to have a little residual flame till all that gas burns out of there. Now, just real quick, while we were doing the warm-up, you notice it flamed up. So what happens is the first fuel goes into this little priming cup right here. And then you light that, and it flames up, and that just can't, there's no pressure on it. It's just liquid, so it's just flaming up. And then it heats up this little tube here, and the tube comes up all the way up to here, goes up to the heated, and then it goes back down here and comes up through the stove. So that preheat allows the fuel to vaporize because it gets hot and it vaporizes. So once it vaporizes, then it allows it to come up and burn through the burner here. I also noticed that when the cup was sitting on it, it was almost smaller than these three different legs, so it was also resting on the tube here. Another thing you'll notice that might be kind of a con is it does get dirty. The priming process kind of creates a lot of soot there, so you notice my hands are kind of black and dirty from messing with it, but it definitely gets the job done. It boiled that water in about 3 minutes, and I didn't even have the windscreen on, but I had the windscreen on. Let me just put that on for you now so you'll see what we're talking about here. It's really a complicated affair here. All it is a piece of aluminum. So it's got a little notch here for the hose. You can just bend it around however you need to, whatever makes you feel right. And it's even got a little pad here you can put down on the ground underneath it to keep from catching the woods on fire, which is always good. So, and this again comes with it, so pretty cool there. And nothing super fancy. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all customizable windscreen. So, but it does fit in the pouch here really well. So let me just show you the canister stove and what's kind of makes this a little different also. So take a look at what is in the little bag here. Got a couple little O-rings. I left them in the bag because just in case. We got some pump cup oil which goes on the pump here just to keep it maintained. A couple of extra gas jets. This small one here is for kerosene, and this little longer one here is for the canister fuel. And then you also have a separate hose end. This is you replace this for the liquid with this for the canister. Then you have a wrench to replace all this stuff. So if you want to use the canister, the first thing you're going to do is replace this terminal on the hose. And the way to do that is just take the little wrench and just loosen it up just a little bit. Once you get it loosened up, it's just a lock. It's just a lock nut. Then the whole thing will screw right out like so. Got a couple O-rings there. Take the plastic one for the canister, push it right in, and do the same thing. Just thread it on. Once it's all the way on, and just tighten your lock nut down. That's step one. Step two is going to be to change the jet. Put this back in the little baggie so we don't lose it. And the way you change that orifice is make sure your stove is cool, turn it upside down, and just unscrew the bottom priming cup first of all. And then it's going to have this little wick inside. Take the wick off. Just keep it there. You're going to need it. Then take the tube here and just push it straight out like so. You see that? And it'll come out. This brings your whole assembly out. That's where the jet is. The jet's on the end of that assembly. So take your wrench. Use the one that looks like a bottle opener and just loosen it up. Once you get it just slightly loose, you can put it off with your hand. Change that out. Put it back in the bag. And oh, we got a little jet inside there. That's a little shaker jet. You see the little thing in there? You got to make sure that's that doesn't fall out on the ground and you lose it. You got a little needle in there, and you want to make sure that needle doesn't get bent all to pieces. I just take it and drop it back down in there, and then screw this in place like so. Tighten it up like so. And you can hear it shaking. Can you hear that? That's the shaker jet. Now, just to reassemble this, you want to put the jet part in the center while the tube loop goes up through the little slot right there. And you got a little slot there. That drops into the little slot right there, and you're good to go. Go ahead and put the wick back around it like so. Just put it around there anyway, and then screw this back on. Now, you really won't need, you probably don't need the wick for the canister fuel, but it's just, I like to keep it there. It's just where it needs to be. It's good. So now we got this out here. Now your canister and the stand. First we'll screw this onto the canister, or actually you screw the canister onto the control valve. Actually, it's the best way to do it. Make sure your valve's shut, and it just turns like any valve. Screw this on like so. Then what's cool about this one is it's designed so that the canister will sit upside down, and that's what this is for. This little part here snaps onto these little grooves right here, like so. It allows the canister to sit upside down. What that does, that allows this to burn more like a liquid. It gives you better performance in cold weather and when it's really low. And when you have a canister on, it just operates like a canister stove. Just lighten it up, and there you go. So you don't really have to fill up the bottom or anything like that. You just light it and let it go. It still needs to preheat a little bit, but once it heats up, it should start burning properly. There you go. Okay, well that was a hopefully not too disjointed a look at what I think may be the best overall emergency preparedness stove that I know of, the MSR Whisperlite Universal. So a couple of pros and cons, and we'll wrap this up. Nothing's perfect. I think that, as you can see, there's a little learning curve to this thing. It's not the simplest stove to operate, although if you set it up to use the canister right off the bat, it's pretty simple. But if you want to use alternative fuels, liquid fuels, or whatever, you kind of need to know what you're doing. Be familiar with it. The other con is it's going to get dirty, and you're going to get your hands dirty when you're using it, probably, unless you clean it every single time you use it. But once you get it set up to use, you probably won't be messing with it too much if you're using it in an emergency situation. And the other con is it's not super cheap. It's about $140, plus you got to buy the bottle, or if you're going to use liquid fuel. So you might have $150-$160 in it when you're all said and done. But you'll be able to burn white gas, unleaded gas, kerosene, or a canister, which is, in my opinion, is pretty versatile. Which brings us to the pros. You can burn a lot of different fuel in it. It's a tried and true design. It's going to last a long time. There's not a lot to it. You certainly got to maintain it a little bit. You might have to, lubricate the O-rings or something, but the parts and pieces are pretty simple. And the instructions are really, really detailed and very, very easy to see, easy to follow, and they cover pretty much all the bases on the instructions, which is because there is that learning curve. You can fit everything except the fuel in this bag right here, so definitely won't eat up a lot of room if you're short on storage space for your emergency preparedness stuff. So that's the MSR Whisperlite Universal. So once again, thanks to the folks at MSR for sending me this so I could kind of play with it, learn about it, and hopefully share some of that experience with you. So if you're looking for a stove for your emergency preparedness, to make sure you can cook some of that emergency food you've got, you want to make sure you've got all your fuel bases covered, I think this could be a really, really good choice for you. So I hope this has been helpful. As always, thanks for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday and Saturday, and sometimes random videos throughout the week. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single one, I invite you to subscribe to my weekly email newsletter at survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. Every week I'll send you an email with a link to the last week's videos, plus any news, offers, or deals I think you might be interested in, and occasionally we'll do some special stuff for the newsletter subscribers only. So I really appreciate the support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.